Hello everyone, welcome to StraightA. Dawson here, back with another video here today, and I am covering over the Dallas Cowboys and my 2024-2025 NFL predictions for them here today. I'm going to make this one a little bit quicker just because I feel like I've been taking a long time with these videos, bouncing around a little bit, so we're going to try to make my thoughts a little bit more on the straight and narrow side, as well as giving you my four thoughts of my predictions, as well as just a quick overview of the stats. Either way, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please leave a like down below, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and comment any suggestions for future videos below. Let's get right into the video. So just like always, we will go over the team and what the team's status really does. Dak Prescott is the current starting quarterback with Cooper Rush, good old Cooper Rush behind him. Trey Lance listed as the third string. I don't know if that's going to be true, but sure, we'll go with it. Zeke, Rico Dowdle, Deuce Vaughn, and Royce Freeman. Man, that's a running back room of the ages. Zeke in his not prime, Rico Dowdle in his kind of decent ability, Deuce Vaughn in his whatever, and Royce Freeman, who I think was on the Rams last year, so that's cool. CeeDee Lamb, Brandon Cooks, and Jalen Tolbert, including Jake Ferguson, all make up the receiving room, and with a pretty damn good O-line. Now looking at Tyler Guyton, Tyler Smith, Brock Hoffman, Zach Martin, and Terrence Steele. That's probably one of the better O-lines I've seen in the league so far. Meanwhile, defensive line and all that good stuff, they are fucking loaded as always. And, of course, their secondary is probably the weakest point. Maybe the receivers are a little bit weaker. No, CeeDee Lamb carries too much. But Malik Hooker, Trayvon Diggs, Deron Bland, all decent, pretty good options. I don't know much about Donovan Wilson, so we'll move on from him. Either way, pretty damn good team, but who's surprised there? Dallas Cowboys, as much as you give them crap for losing in the playoffs, they are a damn good regular season team, and this will be a curious season for them. Essentially, I'm going to give you the lowdown. I probably will, maybe click through these real quick. Essentially, Dak Prescott has really reached, on average, close to 4,000 to 4,500 yards. I don't see that changing. He's a damn good quarterback. I don't care what you tell me. As long as he stays healthy, he'll reach 4,000 pretty damn easy. Maybe 4,500 like he did this last year, but 4,000 is a pretty damn safe bet. Tony P, of course, was the running back this last year, but I'm not going to look back at Zeke's stats at all because Zeke in the prime was thousands of yards with a ton of touchdowns. The Zeke we have nowadays is just kind of a shell of his former self. He'll be the main back who probably gets a lot of the goal line work, but I see Deuce Vaughn and Rico Dowdle getting a lot of those in-between carries. We'll see how that actually ends up panning out, but Zeke I just don't see being that much of a factor for this team nowadays. I'd be surprised if he didn't get hurt. I'm not wishing that upon him, but he's older. He's a running back. It's starting to get there. Either way, then we kind of going to talk about Dak Prescott a little bit more, kind of jumping back and forth already. But his interceptions have actually never been that high. They've been 12, 14 once, 12 like another time, and everything else has been about 10, 11, 12, 9, 10, 11 essentially. I don't see him being that careless with the ball. I'm sure he'll sling the ball quite a bit. 36 touchdowns pretty high for him. He did get like 28, 29 before. He hasn't taken that many sacks. I think 40 is a pretty damn low number as well, but they've taken even less before. So pretty damn good from the Cowboys team in general. Looking at the receivers, of course, they got Tyler Guyton, CeeDee Lamb, Brandon Cooks, and Jake Ferguson. Now, obviously, Jalen Tolbert. And all four of those guys were on the team before. CeeDee Lamb is a fucking beast. And I don't know exactly what my prediction will be on top of my head right here, right now. But CeeDee Lamb has the potential to be the best receiver in the league next year. And I think that just because Justin Jefferson has a not as good quarterback, then you have, Tyreek Hill, who could have a boom or bust season based on how Tua performs. Cooper Kupp is just, shell of his former self. He's still very good, but he's just not the Cooper Kupp we knew from the Triple Crown. CeeDee Lamb has a damn good quarterback who's not afraid to sling the ball, and CeeDee Lamb gets a lot of the fucking targets, 181 last year. Pretty damn good. Jake Ferguson got a lot of love near the end zone too, 12 and 5 touchdowns. That's a little bit high for CeeDee Lamb, but it's not uncommon for him to get that kind of much. Brandon Cooks, before we kind of look at him real quick, he's gotten in the decent yardage before, thousands of yards, but in recent years he's really only gotten to 700 at best, 699 technically. And I think he's a pretty damn good wide receiver. I think he's underrated. He's utilized pretty well on the Cowboys, and I think his role will only get upplayed from here. So I do see Brandon Cooks being more of a factor this next year. Then you got, of course, Jake Ferguson I already talked about, but he'll get a lot of the end zone looks, I'm sure, again this next year. And Jalen Tolbert, he'll just continue to be a reliable third wide receiver. Sacks, in terms of all the numbers, they have historically gotten a lot of sacks around the 46 mark. It's actually pretty average. I just hit my computer, so if you see a shake, good for you. In terms of interceptions, they usually on the lower side, but they actually did get quite a few a couple years ago. So that's really, really good and really good to see. But they got 17 last year, and their secondary is about the same. I'm not really going to cry about it and say, oh, their team really hasn't changed at all. So there's not really much to predict here in terms of like, oh, where could they go? Just based on maybe the games they play. Maybe they play tougher games, so as a result, we'll just have to do a little bit more. Not too sure, but it's a little bit curious. The Cowboys, really good defense, though, historically, and I think even in recent years, last year especially, but even before that, they've had a damn good defense who's kind of carried them a lot of the ways there. So I think the defense will continue to do really, really well, but I think the offense is going to take a big step up, and maybe the defense like a slight step back. That's kind of my initial kind of thoughts and predictions. But yeah, that was a lot more quick and to the point. I don't like going rambling too much anymore. So let's go right into the actual predictions now, and I'll give you more of my thoughts from there. Of course, Dallas Cowboys are up next, and I'll kind of go over a lot more of my point of view for these teams as I go into predictions this time. So first of all, Dak Prescott. I think I decided that Dak Prescott's going to have a hell of a season. I think he throws for 4,500 plus. I think he goes 4,750, 4,800 yards. The thing about Dak Prescott is, by the way, I'm not biased for the Cowboys. I've seen some comments about me being biased for certain teams or biased against certain teams. I'm not biased for or against the Cowboys here. Dak Prescott is such a fucking good quarterback, and people just don't respect him enough. Sure, does he struggle to win in the the playoffs? Yeah, absolutely. But he does not struggle in the regular season. He is so damn good in the regular season. The only reason why I hesitated putting him up in the 4,500 range is because his supporting cast is maybe not the best. However, I also think that CeeDee Lamb will have one of his best years, and we'll cover this. And again, I'm saying that with him scoring 1,700 yards last year and 12 touchdowns. Dak Prescott, though, will have around 34 passing touchdowns. I don't see him going like super MVP levels in terms of like 40 touchdowns. I could realistically see 38, 39. I could see him reaching 40. I just think with the supporting cast, his touchdowns will be a little bit less, but his passing yards will be a lot more because I think they're going to be throwing downfield a whole lot more. His rushing yards around 250 to 300. I'm not going to be too invested in his rushing yards, but sure, he'll rush for one random touchdown. Maybe two, but one is my prediction. And we'll say 11 interceptions. I think with him slinging the ball a little bit more, he'll throw a couple more interceptions, but he'll still be a damn solid QB. I like Dak. I think Dak could do very well based on his previous performance. I think Dak has the potential to go 4,500 plus yards, and I think he's one of the best QBs in the league, and so it's hard to kind of say he won't do it again. Then we got Zeke. I'm just going to go ahead and say he's less than 800 yards and 5 rushing touchdowns. It's not, 5 rushing touchdowns, not nothing, but he'll get some of the goal line work. Under 800 yards just purely because I don't think he's going to break out for many big yards. I don't think he's going to be the main back again, down the field. I think it's going to be Rico, Deuce Vaughn, and him as a 3 supporting backfield. And this is also taking into account, I don't know how healthy he'll be all season. I don't know how many games he'll play. How much of a factor is Zeke's really going to be in this game? I'm not too sure. I'm putting him at less than 800. Then we got the receiving predictions. And I think CeeDee Lamb will 100% go over 1,500 yards again. There's usually about 3 receivers that go over 1,500 yards, and I'd be so surprised if CeeDee Lamb's not one of them. I think he's going to go 15 touchdowns. I think he had a slow start last year. I think he's going to have a hot start this year. Maybe peter off a little bit and then just spike back up. CeeDee Lamb is a beast. He's done 1,200 yards, done 1,700 now, and I think his momentum has only grown. And I think he's genuinely, when you watch film of this guy, genuinely one of the best receivers in the league. Such good separation, such good route running, and just such good connection with Dak Prescott. This team may struggle against scheming against other teams, but man, they can score some points. And man, CeeDee Lamb and Dak Prescott are going to be scary. Brandon Cooks, this is a little bit higher for him. So he's usually getting about 700. He hasn't reached 1,000 for a couple of years, but I think he's going to get back in the 800s, close to 900. I actually debated about 900, but I think I put a lot of people already in the 900 category, so I'm going to put him right in the 800 to 899 category. Though I think he's going to get some more receiving touchdowns. I think that this is going to be a really heavy receiving touchdown team, and now looking at this is actually really high because I think this gets him close to 28 or something like that. So 28 touchdowns for 34 of my predictions. It's not unrealistic, but it's not the most realistic. But either way, I think Brandon Cooks has been really solid. I think he's going to fine-tune a little bit, and he's going to kind of peter off in that Adam Thielen-esque zone-ish. Jake Ferguson, tight ends that are utilized in this offense are going to get at least 700 yards. He could get 800, but 700 is what he seems to be trending to. And this offense is not so focused on the tight end where they are just relying on Jake Ferguson. They have a lot of other supporting cast members, a little bit of depth. So they don't have to worry about, just chucking it down to Jake Ferguson. And I likely this team will probably chuck it down to a running back if they were. That just seems to be the scheme what the Cowboys end up doing. Either way, 6 receiving touchdowns, he'll have a step up, but there you go. O-line, Again, I'm not too sure how accurate the stats I found was because it seems like less than 30 sacks is really, really hard to do or to allow. Either way, I'm going to predict that the Cowboys are one of the best teams in the league in the O-line. So, boom, less than 30 sacks. I think they're going to be the best team in defensive line. I think they're going to get 55 plus sacks. I don't see them not doing it. Their defense is still so fucking good, so overwhelming. And a lot of O-lines are new or are, they're either really new with rookies, they're older with a little bit of, veteran talent, or they're beat up a little bit. I think the Dallas Cowboys could easily get 55 sacks, and it's going to be very impressive. I think they could do it. 2022 interceptions. I decided to go on the high end for this. I decided that they kind of they went down to 17, but for some reason I'm just feeling that this defense is going to show out. This isn't the best interception record. This is like the second or third best or range, but this defense, I think, is going to do some spectacular things. I think the secondary will be very good at keeping them in games, and again, they've reached 20 before. So it's definitely doable, but 17 seems to be the numbers they kind of peter out at. I'm going to go 2022 because I think that there's not many other secondaries that can do the numbers that this team can do. So, it's kind of also considering looking ahead like, okay, well, what teams do I expect to do better than the Cowboys? And there's not many. So, as a result, I'm going to put them in the 20 to 22 interception tier. Now, for their actual schedule, they have a tough damn schedule. They have a really, in terms of games that you can flip a coin in, and if you count division games, there's only 2 games, maybe 3, that I see that could go either way. 4 games that they should win definitely, and then every other game could be just a split. Honest to God. Now I'm going to give them credit against their division going 4-2, just because I think they will lose, probably split with the Eagles. They probably lose one random one to the Commanders or Giants because that's what they tend to do. But man, it's almost tempting to take the Cowboys doing really damn well this next season because they always play well against good teams. But they don't always, but they usually play damn well against good teams. But they play like shit against other teams. So I'm going to keep to my logic there. They're going to go 4-2 in their division, and it leaves 11 games left. I think they'll go 6-5 in those games, and so as a result, that'll be about 6 + 4, 10, 10-7. Is going to be the record. I think that's very conservative, to be honest with you. I think a lot of these tough games can be easily won. Lions could be easily won because they split before, or they won before against the Lions. Texans are a really tough team, but they could beat them. Bengals, never know how those games can go. Ravens, tough damn team, but so is the Cowboys. Eagles, division opponent. Browns, Steelers, just tough and gritty teams that could go either way. 49ers, really tough damn team. And you got a couple teams like the Buccaneers, the Saints, the Falcons, the Panthers. They probably could lose a game or two there, but probably just a game or so. Really breaking it down, 4-2 in their division. Then you say probably of these 4 games go 2-2 because I really just can't decide. 6-4. I'm gonna say they split these games 7-5, but I think they win these 2 games 9-5, and I think they lose. I think they win one of these games 10-7. So yeah, 10-7 is about the right record. 10-11 wins is my prediction for them this next time go up. I don't see them getting less than 10 wins, but man, it's gonna be tough for them to get more than 11. They could very well. They're a damn good team who could do it, but 10-11 seems more in the realistic category. Either way, hope you enjoyed my predictions here for the Dallas Cowboys here today. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. See you guys in the next one. StraightA Dawson out of here.